Hi, Stefan.
Hello. Okay. I'll read the first. Or actually,
Yeah.
what's
author's purpose?
Yeah. What's the author's purpose, would you say?
So in the beginning, I definitely thought they used like a lot to start about. First off, he used exemplification to talk about like what the students went through and like their personal story and example, and like what happened to them to like start off, build character, give background. But then I think overall like the purpose shifted. He also used comparison to this to compare what the students were doing and like how much they were doing for the movement in comparison to how much people in law who actually have a say and can do legal action for gun rights and or like against gun laws and like stricter gun laws. And then he compared the two between like how much the students were doing and like their movement in comparison to how like little the people in law were doing.
Yeah, I think his purpose was more than just like what happened at the shooting. It was like how they were all the students were affected after it, and like the process they went through to try and form the movement that they formed.
So basically, to do this purpose, he would also do like what people in law would say and how it wasn't really much and how they weren't doing a lot for gun rights, even given the background of what happened at the Parkland shooting.
And he got into a lot about politics, about how like the NRA was influencing the politicians, you know?
Well, I agree, but I think Cullen tried to get as like, obviously he got political as he was talking about guns and laws on it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to disagree that I think he tried to stay as like back off of like strict politics as possible. And he touched on both sides, how both sides weren't doing enough, but he like used the examples of what was going on in the facts in order to explain like how there wasn't enough going on and how these events keep recurring.
Yeah.
And that's again like what the people in law say and what the students say about it and what Cullen says about it, because Cullen also talked a lot about, obviously he was on the same side as the students, like in need of more regulation.
Yeah. That's the next one.
Do you think there was like maybe another purpose? Because what I personally think that it was just the lawmakers and the students and like what the students are doing for this. But do you think there was anything else?
I think he was also like showing how it also like brought people together, like with the movement and stuff, since like it's like the shootings have happened like a lot before, and like how people, you know how like he said that he doesn't want it to just be like forgotten.
Yeah, so, he like organized it in a way that it started off basically just building the character of the students and the events that happened, and then move more into the movement. But like he organized it in a way to build up that context, even though everyone's already heard about it on the news and everything.
Yeah.
And then what do you think was his call to action?
His call to action?
Yeah, I think by the end of it, it definitely resonated with me, like what the students were saying. Like I think the call to action was just to bring more, even though there's so much attention on it, also to focus on like what the students went through.
Yeah, and it was like, and I just remember it was like not just to like listen to it and then forget about it. He wanted this to be something everyone remembered and like tried to make it like help change, like to join the movement.
Yeah, do you think he was like valid in doing so?
I think he was. I think he was, because like he described like some of the students and their speeches and how like for Columbine, even though like everyone remembers Columbine and stuff, but remember the students who were like actually in the shooting of Columbine, they didn't want to be part of like the walkout because they were like, the students had like, they were old and like not old but like, you know, he said they were like 40s and 50s, so like, and for them it was already like over kind of.
Yeah, and I think he also focuses a lot on like the lasting effects of the students. And I think this was like another purpose, was just to reiterate how the students, although they're in the movement and they've been successful at like serving their purpose to like bring attention to this, And it definitely gained a lot. But I think another purpose was, by the end, he used examples of, like, how they were kind of lost after the movement. Like, they didn't know if they wanted to go to college, like, what they were going to do after this, because this had just consumed, like, all of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he also just, like, and, like, the PTSD behind it, like, he just also wanted to not, like, glorify. He definitely wanted to bring attention that it was not a good event, and that although good things came out of it, he didn't want to glorify the situation and how if this happens again, these are also the lasting impacts on the people involved.
Yeah.
And how much they really lost.
Like the whole community, not just like the people in it.
Yeah, he just wanted to explain how much they really lost and compared to what they gained from this learning experience.
Yeah.
But to never see it again.
Mm-hmm.
So also, false statements. Do you think he used any false statements and fallacious reasoning? In other words, do you agree with the author's argument? Yes, I agree with the fact that there needs to be more regulation. And the way that he did it was effective because it definitely sit with me as a student. I think that was also his target audience, students, as well as people in law. It was really just to bring attention to everybody.
Yeah, because I think it made people feel like, because, like, when you're a student, it's like there's these problems, you know, like, but you think, like, you can't do anything about it, but he made it seem like with this whole movement and stuff that, like, us students can actually, like...
Yeah, he made it less political
impact.
with the exemplification of, in the narration of the students, like how he told it. He made it, so I don't think anyone reading this, well, not everyone, but almost everybody reading this would agree with the author's main argument that school shootings do have lasting impacts negatively and should not be repeated.
Yeah.
Like, on both sides of the spectrum, I think everyone could agree with that. However, like, some false statements, not everyone will agree with his claims that there needs to be more law. That's kind of where it gets political and where he steered away from.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, it did get political because of the topic.
Yeah.
Also, what is your position on the topic?
Didn't we just say that?
Yeah, but, like, you personally, not what the author wanted you to think.
Like, on his argument?
Or, like, how did this change how your position was?
Well, my position's, like, kind of the same. Like, I agree with him and stuff. But I just feel like now it's, like, I know that, like, I can actually do stuff to help make the change and stuff. Like, the
it was definitely, like, awakening for students that you can do stuff even if you are our age and you don't have a position in law. Now we can prevent this.
Yep.
So I think there was a lot of big takeaways. A lot of contrasting positions, especially when it came to politics, but he did try to steer away from that and be as agreeable as possible on how negative the events that occurred were.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye.